Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jamie Schenker-Pissarro. I'm an Associate Director at the Temple Small Business Development Center. We are helping small businesses and entrepreneurs lately with dealing with the impacts of the pandemic. We are offering our no-cost one-on-one consulting for existing business owners. We also have open Zoom office hours if you have a few quick questions. Our consultants can help with things like strategic, pivoting, planning, helping with your applications for the disaster relief programs. We are helping to build e-commerce platforms, and shortly we'll be assisting with health compliance for the hospitality industry. We have launched a series just to bring in experts to talk about some crucial topics to help you right now. And this is number 2. Today, we're talking about some web tools, cloud-based tools that can help you as you're working remotely. This is going to be a basic overview to help you and to help your team, to help you communicate with your team, to help you manage your team. So that's what we'll be talking about today. And we are joined by Angelica from the Department of Online and Digital Learning here at Temple University. We have you muted. And we will, if you have questions during the presentation, you can put them in the chat and I'll make sure to keep a lookout. And then towards the end, we could probably just have it open for questions, and we could just have you unmute yourselves at that point. I will put some information in the chat box about other ways to connect with our organization. And then I'm going to hand the floor over to Angelica. I'm also going to launch a poll just so we can find out some background about the attendees. So I'll launch that right now while Angelica begins.
Thanks, Jamie. All right, so today we're just going to go over some web conferencing tools, some communication tools that I find to be useful. I know most of us are working remotely. I am, so I've really been utilizing these tools that I'm going to go over. Just move this poll.
So it looks like most of the attendees have attended virtual meeting, whether Zoom or something else.
Awesome.
The majority have attended, and then a few have hosted as well.
Awesome. All right, so I'll just give some information about myself. My name is Angelica Cianci. I usually go by Ange. I'm an instructional technologist for the Online and Digital Learning Department at Fox. So my role is really just making sure faculty are prepared and feel comfortable teaching online. I also do a lot of Zoom lunch and learns and trainings for students and staff, just making sure everybody feels comfortable using Zoom, which is our main web conferencing platform. My main goal really is, though, to make faculty feel comfortable, make sure they feel comfortable teaching online and using Zoom features. So whether that be, the breakout rooms or polling, stuff like that, to really get the engagement going in an online session. So yeah, that's my role at Temple. I did my undergrad at Temple also. I majored in human resources and minored in MIS. And I'm currently in a master's program at Fox. The online and digital, the digital innovation and marketing program. So that's really it on myself. I'll pull up the agenda and get into what we'll be discussing today. We're going to go over 4 tools that I find to be really helpful. There's a ton out there, but these are ones that I've kind of been using with work or school. So right now I'm like I said, in a master's program, and it's strictly an online program. So we use these tools to kind of collaborate with our group projects, all of that stuff. The tools I'm going to go over are Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Slack, and Google Hangouts Meet, which was formerly Google Hangouts. It's kind of their web conferencing tool. I'll be giving some information on each tool, whether they're free or subscription-based. All of the tools are free. They have a basic plan, but you can also upgrade those plans. And I'll get into the features of each tool, and then I'll open it up for questions. So the tools again, Zoom, Teams, Slack, Google Hangouts. Zoom I'm definitely most familiar with. Like I said, I'm using it every single day for work. My grad program, like I said, is all online, so we use it for that, for classes. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with Zoom or a web conferencing platform. Maybe you use it for work or school or in your personal lives. Now that we're sort of all quarantined in our house, it's kind of like one of the main ways to communicate with everyone, right? So you might use Zoom to meet with friends and family. I'll be going over Teams, which I use also every day to stay in contact with my team. So I'm on the tech side, but we work with instructional designers to build each instructor's class. So I really talk with them throughout the day, and Teams really is awesome for that. I'll be going over Slack, which is another great communication and collaboration tool. And lastly, I'll be going over Google Hangouts Meet, which I use pretty often for class to stay in contact with my group members for group projects. So Zoom. Zoom is probably one of my favorite web conferencing tools. I know that there's a ton out there. Even Google Hangouts, most of what I'm going over has a web conferencing feature in it, but I just really enjoy Zoom. I think it's really intuitive. This is actually a screenshot of my team meeting for our weekly updates. So some of Zoom's features that I find to be really helpful and great. So their video and audio is high quality compared to WebEx, I feel. You can do a microphone and speaker test, which some platforms don't have. I think it's great. I always, make sure everything's working in the beginning of the session. So it'll play you a ringtone. If you hear the ringtone, you know your speaker's working. If you speak into the mic, it'll play back what you had said into the mic, and you know your mic is working. It shows you all of your available speakers and your mics. So if for some reason you weren't connected correctly, you can sort of toggle through and select the correct mic or speaker. So that's great. The invites to invite people to the meeting, really simple and easy. You'll get a join URL. You could just send that out to whoever, email it out to whoever, and they'll be able to join the session. You can invite people during the session. So if you were to click invite, you can send out the join link. You can send out an entire invitation. So they make it really easy. You can add your meetings to your calendar, which is what I do. I think it's great. I add all of my trainings, or if I have like a one-on-one training, I might add it to my Outlook calendar, which is pretty good. It'll give you reminders. I love the reminders. There's built-in tools for screen sharing. This is probably the most used tool or feature, I should say, in Zoom with our faculty and students. So you can share your desktop or your screen. You can share specific applications. You can share from your iPhone or your iPad, which is pretty cool. That'll just mirror through Wi-Fi. There's some advanced sharing options. So you can share a portion of your screen, tons of ways of sharing. You can share a video, a live video. So with WebEx in the past, you would have to, upload an MP4 to be able to share a video. But with Zoom, you can just share your computer sound and play the video. So I think that's pretty great. You can also record the session. So there's automatic recording, which is a lifesaver for me, because sometimes I don't remember to maybe record a session that should have recorded. So when I'm setting up my session, I can go ahead and just automatically record it to the cloud, and as soon as I start the session, it will start the recording. If I wanted it to my computer, it would do the same. So the automatic recording is an awesome feature in Zoom. There's also the virtual background. I had my boss pulled up in the previous slide. She uses a virtual background. It's just a good way to kind of hide clutter, eliminate distractions, or highlight branding. So like if you have your business logo, maybe you want to put as your virtual background, you can do that. You would just upload it. So that's really it on Zoom. There's tons of things you can do with Zoom, but these are just the most useful features I feel. Next is Microsoft Teams. So I really use this every day. It's so great. This is a picture of my boss and my coworker. So we'll sometimes, for the most part, we meet on Zoom for our web conferencing stuff, but maybe if we're having a quick chat and we want to test something, we might just video chat on Teams. It's just easy, everything is there. So you can chat, you can video chat, you can share files. This other screenshot is kind of our group chat for our team. So we individually message each other, or for the most part, we'll talk in our group chat. So there's conversation channels. You can chat, like I said, individual or group. You can do mentions. So if I was in my group chat and rather than individually chatting someone, I could just mention them, like at Angelica, and ask a question. So that's great. You can screen share via the conversation. So if you were in your chat, you could just share your screen rather than starting up a web conferencing meeting. So that's a pretty cool feature. Video calls, the video calls in Microsoft Teams also have virtual backgrounds that are pretty cool. And you can use audio calls as well. It's fully integrated with Office 365, which is so great. Word, PowerPoint, Excel, SharePoint, Outlook. So if I'm working on maybe a guide for Zoom, and I wanted, my coworker's opinion, or wanted to collaborate on that, I could just send the file directly through Teams. We could sort of collaborate it in the application together, and then I could download it on my computer. So it just makes collaboration so easy. The file organization is great. So I can, rather than looking through my chat, if I just click file, there's an option for file within a specific chat. I can look at all the files that were sent during that chat by date, file type, who sent it. So that's awesome. It kind of just keeps everything in one place. The collaboration, like I said, is in real time. So the in-app editing is just really, really awesome. We do use, we collaborate online all the time through Drive, but this just keeps everything in one place, our communication, all of that. So Teams is an awesome tool to use. Next, I'll talk about Slack a little bit. Slack is a great collaboration tool as well. It was actually between Slack or Teams as the tool my department was going to go with, now that we're all remote, but we ended up just going with Teams because of its integration with Excel and Outlook. But Slack really is a great tool too. I'll pull up the Slack features. Slack brings together people, application, data, and it's really meant to replace email in a company. So rather than like waiting on an email or you're going through your emails, it keeps everything in one place, which is really nice through channels. Some of you may have used Slack before. You can manage and track documents. You can, there's search capabilities. So with the free basic account, you can, have a certain amount of searchable messages, 10K, which is a ton. With the free, I think it was only a little bit more with the paid. Don't quote me on that, but 10K is great for the basic version. You can have audio and video calls. So the one-on-one voice calls are free, but otherwise you would have to purchase a paid plan if you wanted to chat with your more people than one. And video calls are only available on your desktop app. So you would have to just keep that in mind. What's great about Slack is the automated reminders. I love the reminders. So you could just use this command and remind yourself, or someone else of an event, a meeting, a deadline, anything like that. So Slack is great just for project management, I would say. So just, you can keep people information together according to channels. So you could have various channels, maybe for each project or different teams. So it keeps things really organized. So rather than inboxes, Slack messages are organized into channels. So it just makes communication better and collaboration much easier, I would say.
And so just to mention from my standpoint, we use Slack a lot internally for quick messages, things that maybe don't have an attachment. But I've definitely recommended to my team that we use it just to cut down on the amount of emails that we're all getting. I have it as a desktop app, so I don't need to keep my browser open. And I also have it on my phone, so I'm always accessible, which is really great because I could be taking my dog out for a walk.
Right.
And I'm not necessarily going to get an email notification because I don't have that set up, but I do have the Slack notification set up and I can just answer it so quickly. Do use it for that. It's really good if you have interns or student workers. It's a great way to keep in touch with them. Well.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, and also there was a question about capturing photos of the screen. So I mentioned that you can easily take a screenshot. What tool you use that will depend if you're using a Mac or a PC. So for example, on my PC, I use snipping tool, which just came on my laptop. And then you can either snap that in your entire screen in that given moment, or you can select part of your screen and take a screenshot of it. This is via Zoom, of course, and you can also always record your Zooms. You're always able to do that. You can record it to the cloud or to your computer, and then you could, if you wanted to, you could pause and take a screenshot there if you forget.
Yep. I actually just got this question today too, about, I wish that Zoom had a feature that you could kind of just screenshot in app, but you can't. Maybe they'll come out with it in the future, but you kind of just have to, depending on what you have, like you said, a Mac, you can screenshot or use the snipping tool on PC.
Yeah, and then I also wanted to mention about that recording feature. You want to make sure that you turn that on in advance when you're setting it up. You can also connect to Facebook or YouTube and do a live stream at the same time if you wanted, if you were doing something that made sense.
We see a lot of events live streams. So like even it's not graduation ceremonies for Temple, it's celebrations, I think it's called. So they're actually live streaming those. I'm not sure whether it's going to be on YouTube or Facebook, but it's just it's a great way to, get more people to view.
Yeah, it really does help get your views up for someone who may not have seen the event, but they happen to follow you on Facebook and they get notification. That's always an option. And then I wanted to just backtrack quickly and just talk about Zoom from a small business perspective within your team. It is nice if you have a team, if you're not just a sole entrepreneur. If you do have a team, I think that using Zoom or another video conferencing platform is important to maintain staff morale and help you feel connected. So I really do recommend doing that. And I think that you can get maybe a little bit more personal than a team meeting that you may have had prior, but that's okay. Like, it's okay to check in with your team. It's a good thing just to check in with everyone, but you do want to keep it about business. You want to keep about how everyone is managing their role during the crisis, things, maybe ideas that people have. But I do think it is important really for all small businesses who have another employee, at least another employee, to communicate and have that face-to-face, just that time to meet face-to-face, as opposed to,
it does really make a difference,
as opposed to just audio. It's nice to see your team. Our team, we've been doing some themed Zoom meetings. So we did a tropical theme and we adjusted our Zoom backgrounds and put on some Hawaiian shirts and, talked business, but also checked in with each other. And so everyone's a little bored and a little stressed out. So it's a way to connect as humans to your team. And especially if you are a leader and you are a manager and you are managing a team, it's a responsibility now to check in. And we have these tools to do it. So I did want to just add that in.
Yeah, that sounds great. I like that idea. I'll have to maybe steal that, do a themed chat with my team. All right, so that's really it on Slack. The next and final tool, Google Hangouts Meet. I use Google Hangouts pretty often with just my class online, rather than kind of having a group chat with my team on my phone. It just is great. I'll have the app downloaded on my phone. If anybody has any questions, I can just respond there. So this is just a little information on the features and the plans. So 100 participants for the basic plan, which is great. That's a pretty large number. And if you needed more, you could always, upgrade to the larger size, to the other plans, really, the business plan or the enterprise plan. You can do the screen sharing, you can do recording like you can with, other web conferencing platforms. There is that integration with G Suite products. You can make voice calls through Google Voice. Some of people on my team are actually using this right now. So rather than providing, instructors, students, all of that with, their personal cells, so we don't have our office phones here. They're using Google Voice as it's a telephone service. You can do call forwarding. So someone can just, call you, it'll come through the app. It's really great. If you didn't, connect a phone, it's a great.
Yes, I will emphasize that this is a very excellent free tool. If you are used to having a business line that is now in a business that is closed and you don't want to use your cell phone, you can use Google Voice. You can download it on your phone. So you can you just open the app and just dial it as you would any other number, and it protects your own personal number. I have used that as well as I'm working remotely.
Yeah, it's a great option. I ended up just doing the forwarding from my office line, but so many people on my team are using this and they really like it.
And Ange, we actually have a question for Teams. So just to backtrack,
sure.
They use Teams for a video call and they weren't able to see all 6 of the faces. They were able to see 4. Do you know what that's about? Is that like a paid versus?
It could be. I'm not exactly sure. It could also, like, if your screen wasn't fully expanded, so Zoom does this as well. If it's not fully expanded, it might not show all of the thumbnails, so that could be it. We actually have the paid version. The university pays for our team, so we're able to kind of view everybody's thumbnails, so that it might be, if you're using the basic version or the free version, that could be why.
I'll look that up.
So Hangouts chat, we use this really the most. You can chat, collaborate, create chat rooms, share documents and files. So we might, share our presentation, share spreadsheets, anything like that, just right through the chat. It's really great. There's multilingual chats, so that supports 28 different languages for communication between non-English speakers across basic, business, and the enterprise plan, which is pretty cool. But for the most part, I really like it for its chat. I think it just depends what your team likes. So in a previous position, we just preferred Hangouts to chat. Now with our team, the team that I'm with now, they prefer Microsoft Teams. So both really great options. You can do a lot of the same things. It's just kind of up to preference.
And it is the max of 4 for
okay.
The unpaid. I just looked up.
But that is it. And I'll stick around for any questions that you have.
Yeah. We have some questions. Thank you for that overview. I would mention another tool that I like is Trello, Trello. I use that for a few things. You can use it for a lot of different project management. I use it as a Rolodex, so I keep my contacts there. Again, I can have it as an app on my computer, so not in a browser, and also on my phone, so I always have it with me. I also use it to store template emails in one place. So if there's always an email that I send to this type of inquiry, I have that in there. Those are the two things that I ends up using. I had a few project management stuff, but those are really the two things that I use it the most for. So that's a good one, and that's free. So there's a question: how do you suggest deciding which tool to use? Are there checklists of needs or requirements which you can use to help to decide which is best? Is there a danger of having to manage too many tools? I think that you can have too many tools, and you have to maybe I think playing around and giving yourself 2 weeks to get used to the different tools and see if it works. I've had a few others that I've used before, and Slack stuck with me, and Trello stuck with me. It also helps if you want to have team buy-in, so you want to kind of commit and then have the team buy-in. I think that's really important. And you just want to think about, just maybe do a needs assessment even before you look into the tools, because then you have an unbiased, then you just have an unbiased list of what your needs are, and then you can say, oh, okay, well, this does this, this, and this, but not this. But it still does more than this other program does. So you can do that, and that's also a good time to talk to your team and find out what would be the best communication methods. How do people like to talk to each other? Are people comfortable with technology so that they would use a new tool? It might be hard for some people who just get a little bit overwhelmed. So just assessing the needs of your team, I think, is important. And also, is there a budget? We use the free version of Slack, which means that we can't store everything. It only stores up to 10,000 messages or something, which sounds like a lot, but it goes pretty fast. But that works for us. If it's anything super important worth saving, then we would take it to another communication venue like email. So we use Slack. I use Trello personally, and we certainly use Zoom. That decision was chosen for us because the university uses it, so that made it a little bit easier. But it is quite user friendly, as opposed to some other systems. I've used a few, but I do feel like Zoom is more user friendly. Talking to fellow business owners, whether it's just ones in your network or maybe chat boards, because you're not the first person to be grappling with these decisions. Somebody else probably made a huge pro and con list. You can find that out, and you can just learn from their analysis. So I think that's helpful too, is not having to reinvent the wheel and researching it, because I'm sure there are chat boards about, okay, well, I looked at Zoom versus WebEx versus something else and ultimately decided on this for these reasons. I'm sure that information is out there. So that's my thoughts. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I was going to definitely agree with the 2 weeks to test it out. That's what we did on our team. We didn't really have a communication tool like that we were using in the office, just because our floor is an open concept. So we didn't really need it. But now we kind of just chose Teams. We were looking previously, like I said, between different platforms, and that one kind of just stuck for us. But like I said, in another position, like Google Hangouts, that's what we use. That's how we communicated. We didn't email each other. We just used that. So it depends really on your team for sure.
So if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat box right now. I'm going to put a link to our resource page. This is just our COVID-19 research page with links, a lot of links to our upcoming webinars, to previous webinars, how to get in touch with us. I'm just going to put that there. But feel free to take a minute if you want to ask any more questions. I'm also going to add in a survey for today, just really quick, 4 questions, and it also has a place where you can put in up to other topics that you might want to hear about, which is really helpful for us. And then we have next week, our session will be on collaboration, so thinking creatively about collaborations with other small businesses or other partners. And then after that, we'll have a really specific session on lease addendum, so that may or may not apply to you. And we're also running our May Meditation Mondays. So we had one this week, and we'll have one next Monday. That's at 10:30. It's just 30 minutes. And this is meditation, guided meditation, specifically for entrepreneurs. If you've never done meditation before, this is great. It's just a way to clear your head, because it's really difficult to make decisions. It's when your head is so messy. So we're not taking away all of your problems, because we know that they are very real, but we're just trying to help you manage and just contain them, so you're still able to function and make these big decisions that you have to as an entrepreneur. Yes. So question: do we use Slack through PASBDC? So we have a Slack channel for our office. So we are, as I mentioned, we're one of 16, I may have mentioned, we're one of 16 small business development centers in the state. So we have one for our own office, and then we have another entirely separate Slack, I don't know if you call it platform or what you would call it at that point, another Slack. It's on a channel, but we have a separate one that we communicate with the entire network, which is really great, because we can share success stories, we can exchange tips. So you can have different homes for your Slack. You can have one for your business, and then maybe you have a side business or something else. So you can have multiple homes for Slack. And then I think there are some more questions. Is there a cost for Microsoft Teams? So it looks like there is a free version, right?
There is a free version, but if you looked it up, I'm not exactly sure the different features for. You're definitely going to get more with an upgraded version, a paid version. I don't have the information on that, but you still should be able to use that free version. But like someone had mentioned, there is the limit, so you can only see 4 thumbnails when in a conference. So just keep that in mind. I see the other question: which apps work better with an iPad? I have my iPad. I rarely use applications on it. I'm more on my laptop. So I'm not exactly sure. Jamie, have you used any apps on?
I don't have an iPad, but I use almost all of these apps that we mentioned today on my phone.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if it works on a phone, it would work pretty well on an iPad.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt there would be much of a difference in their transferability. I would imagine all of these teams have given consideration to mobile use. I
will say I have used Zoom just because I've had to do a lot of testing for Zoom. I have used Zoom on an iPad, and that works great.
Yeah. And then there's a question, can we replay this presentation? Yes, we will put this on YouTube and send that link out in our follow-up. I think we answered. Yeah, you always want to check, just to the previous question about the cost, you always want to check what the user limit is, because some web tools will limit it by the user, others by the storage space. Like Slack, you can have unlimited, as far as I know, with the free version. So I think that might be all the questions that we have. Yep, looks like it. So thank you, Ange. Appreciate this overview. Thanks everyone for joining us. Remember that survey, please copy and paste it in your browser. We need that feedback from you, and hope to see you next week, either at our next Wednesday session or at our Monday meditation. We are here for you for sure. You can reach our consultants during our office Zoom hours from 3 to 5 p.m. Next week we'll be doing it, I think Monday, Wednesday, Thursdays. So we'll be doing it a little bit less, but we're still very accessible for you. Reach out, do not hesitate. We want to help support you. Okay, we'll end the meeting there. Thank you very much.